We move forward to our inaugural session. We once again extend our heartiest welcome to our honorable dignitaries on the dais, and also I welcome each one of you present in the hall. Namaskar and warm welcome once again. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now request Mr. Vinayak Godse to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Pramod Bhasin sir, Rear Admiral Vatsayan sir. No opportunate time to have him here. Today is the Navy Day. We like to greet him on the Navy Day. And Secretary Krishnan sir, and all the audience, all the speakers, sponsors, all the students who joined us yesterday. Welcome to the 20th edition of Annual Information Security Summit. So, this summit, which we started yesterday with very intense workshops and hackathons and so many sub-summits that we did yesterday, and which has great participation. And we believe the kind of inflection at which the cybersecurity as a subject reached, and also privacy, because we have now DPDP Act enforced in India. So this community of security professionals, which we started 20 years back, a small gathering, has become such a big, we are almost 4,000 plus people joining in this version of AISS. While after post-pandemic, we could manage our infrastructure, our application better, we started getting comfortable with cybersecurity and as a boundary subject for us, 15, 20 years of experience of managing it well. But this year is very different. Especially because of artificial intelligence, security again become a greenfield subject for all of us, right? And so many expectations, obligations, liabilities, and privacy, ethics, so many subjects that we have to deal with, right? And then when we have to deal with this, with the kind of advancement that we see in the attack landscape, enabled by the powerful AI, we believe the subject of security has to be discussed at a very nuanced, technical, procedural, practices, strategic governance level. That's why in this version of AISS, we almost 120 plus different sessions we have been doing. Because subject of security is complex, so are different disciplines, so are different nuances that needs to be dealt with. And there are different connotation, different environment that security works as well, right? And the environment works. For example, we have a separate session with NIC Secretary Sir, getting all the deputy and CISOs up, appointed by NIC in different ministries yesterday. We have separate discussion on health sector, manufacturing sector, space sector, so many different sectors also we are talking in this 3 days of AISS. So, and then we also, as we know that with this kind of support that we get from the entire ecosystem and technology partners and especially the leaders here, we also culminate this AISS by doing the Excellence Award, which is happening on 5th of December. And in this entire journey, the great support that we got from, one is industry, but more importantly from the government as well, with the Ministry of Electronic Society, which is our line ministry, had been very key contributor to the subject of security and overall DSS development until now. So what we really see, the kind of effort we put together in terms of security, grand challenges, the startups, all we are seeing it here, the kind of support we got from MIT in last 5-6 years of time in this agenda, the research productization that we have been now undertaking as an agenda. So all of this support, and more importantly, one is the support and policy and kind of a effort that MIT takes, but other is policy interventions as well. This entire DPDP Act would definitely give quite a significant fillip to the development of this profession and this industry as well, right? And then one of the important part of this industry is the, yes, India's cybersecurity industry is $20 billion plus dollar, but product industry is very important. And that is going also well, and we are launching that report shortly. And these 3 days of intense engagement, possible with so many supports coming from all of the dimensions basically. We really thank from Data Security Council of India team perspective, and from my team and overall DSCI perspective, I would really like to welcome you all here for another 2 days of the intense, engaging interactions. With this, I will hand over to the next proceeding. Thank you very much for joining and contributing to AISS.
Thank you so much, sir, for that very warm note and also setting the rhythm for this summit and sharing your valuable insights into DSCI's initiatives for this year. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning is very special as we are very privileged to have with us Honorable Secretary Mete, Government of India, amongst us Sri S. Krishnan. As we all know, he's a very distinguished member of the Indian Administrative Services for past 35 years and has wide experience in range of assignments in the Government of Tamil Nadu, Government of India and International Monetary Fund. He served as the Additional Chief Secretary in Industries, Investment Promotion and Commerce Department, Government of Tamil Nadu, from November 2021 to August 2023. May I request you to kindly put your hands together as I request Honorable Secretary Sir Mete, Government of India, Shri S. Krishnan, to kindly deliver the inaugural address. So we are very honored to have you this morning. It's very precious for us. We know it's very tight on time and we know you have very important engagement. We're looking forward to hear from you.
Thank you very much for that very warm and generous introduction. We have on stage some very eminent people in the area of cybersecurity. Vice Admiral Sanjay Vatsyayan, the Vice Chief of the Naval Staff. Greetings to you and the Indian Navy on Navy Day. And of course, Mr. Pramod Bhasin, who's been a promoter, one of the early adopters, both not just of cybersecurity, but also of one of the founders of the IT movement in India, one of the founder members of NASSCOM, and has been part of this particular area for many, many years. And Dr. Vinayak Godse, who's been a pillar of strength at DSCI and one of the most reliable partners for Mete itself in this particular area of cybersecurity. This particular All India Information Security Summit has now entering the 20th year. I understand that this is the 20th edition, having been first started in the year 2006. And clearly, this event has grown. I was here last year, and it's always wonderful to see the kind of energy around this event and the way this particular sector is growing. It meets the challenges of the time, it meets the needs of the time. The digital economy is growing. Not only is it growing absolutely as a share of the overall economy, it's currently at about 12 to 13%, and projections indicate that it would reach about 20% by 2030. And not only that, digital means being adopted in other sectors of the economy are also growing. So which means that there's a lot of centralization of data, there are many systems on which we are reliant, things which were peripheral to economic life maybe 2 decades ago are now central to it. We cannot afford any disruptions in the digital backbone of any industry, whether it is the logistics industry, whether it is the manufacturing industry, whether it is the transportation industry, anywhere you look at it, the financial industry or even the power sector, nowhere can we afford any kind of disruption because it runs on a backbone of information technology, runs on a backbone of digital systems. Not only do these systems run, even increasingly, almost our entire military systems, whether it is in the Indian Navy, the Air Force, the Army, everywhere else, there's so much of digitization which is taking place on an ongoing basis that the most critical element of what we need to look at increasingly is cybersecurity. And what about 10 years ago would often be an afterthought. People think about security only after you've designed the product, only after you've looked at everything, now becomes the initial step that you have to take. You have to design for security. I recall years in which you need to develop a portal, you need to develop an application, it needs to be launched. Somebody says this is the date by which it has to be launched. So you get everything ready, nobody has looked at the security. There's a requirement to get a safety and security audit done before it is brought out. Somebody says, why are you wasting time on that? Let's just go ahead and launch it. And this has happened often enough, and it's happened with fairly sorry consequences in many cases. Fortunately now, I think many people realize that the security aspect of this is important and something that needs to be kept note of right from the beginning. And the security aspect is important not only for software applications, but also for the kind of hardware that we use. In each of these areas, we need to look at this much more closely. Dr. Godse pointed out that you've had a lot of technical discussions on this subject. In each area, there are technical dimensions which need to be looked at. There are a large number of professionals who need to be developed, who need to address these concerns in these areas. Our mindset, much as we realize that we need to look at security right from the beginning, hasn't changed entirely yet. We are still reluctant to spend adequately on cybersecurity under any circumstances. I think many years ago, it was quite common to say if you were buying a laptop or a new computer, you'd say, "Arey, baki software aise hi laga do na." So, pirated software or buying things which are not authenticated or licensed is a habit. You assume that if it doesn't have a physical form or shape, why should it cost so much? It doesn't make any sense. Unless it's tangible, why do I need to pay for it? And the same thing went for cybersecurity applications as well. If you could, you'd have a pirated version of an antivirus software as well. So, because that is the mindset with which we sort of went into this. I recall a discussion last year with Dr. Godse saying, we are promoting DSCI along with MeitY, does a number of these hackathons. We come up with many cybersecurity startups which need to grow. And when in the course of discussion, we were trying to figure out and identify what the issue was and why are they not able to grow beyond a particular level. And let me emphasize again that in cybersecurity, more than in any other area, our sovereign interests are extremely important. Autonomy and sovereignty are extremely important. You can't trust anybody else in the world to give you a product which will not have a backdoor, right? I mean, globally, any country would be under their own pressure, would have their own reasons as to why they would put in a backdoor in favor of somebody or the other, and you'll be left searching for it all the time. Today, for us, it's become very important. We have started with CCTV cameras, for instance, to ensure that they come from a trusted value chain. In the telecom infrastructure, we have started as to how you have a trusted value chain. This will expand to more and more applications. And what we need to go alongside that is homegrown talent, homegrown products, which we can trust, which we can use. That is the opportunity which is increasingly coming up. And for that to become a reality, we have to make sure that we have a home market which is large enough and which is significant enough to support this. Because let's be again very clear. The one thing that we have found from experience is that at least in the information technology space, it can never be an effort by the government or the public sector alone. This is something which needs to happen along with the private sector, along with all the stakeholders. They need to be part of what we are doing. Their exposure in terms of the surface of attack that they see is much larger. Their potential for innovation is greater. Their potential to nimbly and flexibly address newer challenges which comes up is greater. And therefore, it needs to be a partnership. We need to work with the private sector. We need to work with startups. We need to work with a range of professionals so that we are able to secure the nation and secure various applications and make sure that we can use this without any kind of hesitation or fear. And for that, I think the most important thing is to make sure that we develop a large enough market for a lot of these products, to make sure that you're assured that your products would be bought, your products would be made available, and it is something that we can work with and move forward. And that is something that increasingly MeitY is attempting to do through a range of mechanisms, through standard tender documents which will ensure that cybersecurity is given adequate importance, through a range of guidelines that we've issued on how cybersecurity audits need to be done, what needs to be addressed as part of the overall cybersecurity framework. All of that is fundamentally to ensure that within the scope of government procurement, within the scope of agencies where cybersecurity products are used, there's adequate attention to this. And once we have enough domestic capacity in this space, then clearly a preference could also be provided for domestic developers of such products so that we ensure that that market is protected and that market is sort of made available to people who can provide us those safe and trusted solutions. I think that is the critical element, and that is something which is most important in the cybersecurity space. And this is, again, as I said, an evolving area. Threats evolve all the time. The security professionals need to be one or two steps ahead of the bad actors all the time. And we are aware that a very significant proportion of the traffic on the internet, for instance, is malicious traffic. So it never seems to sort of yield or come down. We need to sort of protect ourselves against that. So this is an area where the threats are also expanding, or threats are becoming newer. On the one hand, artificial intelligence is an opportunity. On another hand, it is also a threat on the cybersecurity side. So we need to protect ourselves there. Likewise, if you look at quantum computing, on the one hand, it's a huge opportunity, but from a cybersecurity perspective, one quantum computer is enough to make sure that most of the cryptography can be broken. So post-quantum cryptography then becomes something which is critical and where we need to build greater and greater expertise. That's also an area where MeitY, CERTIN, and all other agencies are working closely together. The government is working hard on getting its overall act together in the cybersecurity space through a very, very clear mandate and understanding of the roles of the different agencies which work in this area. The National Security Council Secretariat is responsible for overall coordination in the cybersecurity area. MeitY has the primary responsibility in the technology and human development area in cybersecurity, human resource development area. The Telecom Ministry has the primary responsibility for network security, and the Ministry of Home Affairs has the primary responsibility for cybercrime, because eventually a cybersecurity incident of some nature or the other becomes a cybercrime incident. So this is the way the allocation of responsibilities has been made, and there's a constant effort to keep coordinating efforts, coordinating the various measures that we take in this direction to make sure that this is something which is given adequate attention to. Resources have not been a constraint. CERTIN and all other agencies have been made available adequate resources. We've recently increased the number of staff positions in CERTIN as well. We've in fact tripled the overall staff strength there, and we would be taking on more experts in that particular area, because this is something which is critical, which is something which is very, very important for the country to actually protect. And in all this, when I talk about all this, and we have the Vice Chief of the Naval Staff also present here, the area of what the defense forces do, what the Ministry of Defense does in cybersecurity, they have their own complete establishment to take care of cybersecurity issues. Where they require some support and effort, of course, MeitY and other ministries do support. We coordinate with the Defense Cybersecurity Agency. We coordinate with CEDA, which is the agency which takes care of cybersecurity for all the civilian parts of the Defense Ministry. So there are a range of agencies with whom we coordinate and make sure that the cybersecurity stance of the country and the manner in which we protect our cybersecurity space is something which is constantly taken care of. But as I repeatedly emphasize, this is an area of ceaseless vigilance. This is an area where attacks take place every day. This is an area where all of you as cybersecurity professionals need to be on your toes all the time in order to protect our overall cyber realm and to protect the kind of digital economy that we've built. Mention has also been made of the DPDP Act, which has recently been notified. So in that sense, more opportunities for cybersecurity professionals to find suitable positions and make sure that they support all organizations in this area becomes more vital. I was reading yesterday that there is a potential for growth which they expect based on the privacy requirements of various organizations. There's a substantial potential for growth in this area. I think the industry needs to come together. We need to have more experts. We need to have people with enough skills in this space to support organizations, to support the government, to support common citizens of this country to make sure that they're cyber safe. And this lesson of cyber awareness, security awareness, and adapting our behavior to suit the changing circumstances is a constant exercise which we can never ignore. And aside from all the technical sessions that you have, the details that you discuss in terms of how you architect and structure cybersecurity features of various software and hardware operations, ultimately the human element is the most crucial. So each one of us as individuals owes ourselves a duty to be aware that we have cyber hygiene, we practice it regularly, and to at least educate a few other people in our own families and circle of friends to make sure that they are adequately conscious of ensuring cybersecurity. Once again, I congratulate DSCI for having put together such a large event. As always, I'm sure this is going to be an extremely successful event. We look forward keenly to the kind of recommendations and the kind of suggestions that would emanate from all the discussions which take place through the course of this summit. And MeitY stands ready to hear from all stakeholders to take our policies, our programs, and schemes forward in the cybersecurity space as we move along. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Secretary, sir, for those very significant pointers. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause as we thank Honorable Secretary, sir, for guiding us with his very inspiring and encouraging words. Thank you, sir. That's a huge amount of takeaway for us this morning. As Honorable Secretary, sir, mentioned about the need of the more products and more startups on the same line, we now move forward to a very special moment. The launch of the DSCI's flagship report of the year, and that reflects upon the growth and journey of Indian cybersecurity product ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in this moment of celebration as we take time to unveil the Indian cybersecurity product landscape report 3.0, a DSCI research study. This is a moment where we bring in energies together as we request our honorable dignitaries on the dais to kindly launch the report. May we request you all to put your hands together in this moment of celebration. We launch the Indian Cybersecurity Product Landscape Report 3.0, a DSCI research study. Ladies and gentlemen, India is now home to more than 400 cybersecurity product companies which grew at CAGR 34% between 20 to 25, generating a combined revenue of USD 4.46 billion in 2025. This report is officially available now on the DSCI's website. You can scan the QR code on the screen or visit the DSCI's Knowledge Center to get your copy. We take this moment to capture this in our lenses. Of course, this stays in our memories. Thank you once again, honorable dignitaries, for doing the honors. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this moment of celebration. Now we move to a very special address. We request you all to kindly join us as I now welcome Honorable Chairman, DSCI, Mr. Pramod Bhasin, who is also the chairperson of Clicks Capital and also the chairperson of ICRIAR, one of India's leading economic research think tanks that contributes extensively to economic policy research on critical areas. He is also the founder and CEO of Genpact Limited. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. It's always a joy to see the level of interest, the crowds, the people who come to attend this wonderful conference every year. And each year that I am privileged to hold this position, I remain increasingly impressed by both the interest, the commitment, as well as the organizational capabilities that go into pulling together such an event. Secretary Krishnan had to leave, but his words were very, very powerful. I'll talk about them a little bit more. I'm very pleased, of course, to have the Vice Chief of the Naval Staff here with us. Thank you, sir, for being here, for showing us your partnership as to what we can do, because in the area of cybersecurity, clearly, the combination of public-private partnerships, and in particular with our defense forces, is extremely important, and I'm sure he will talk about that. Our conference grows bigger and larger every year. I want to first thank the DSCI team led by Vinayak for pulling this off so magnificently every year. And there's lots of DSCI people here, but thank you very much for being so fantastic in what you do. I really want to give them a big hand. And I hope over the next few days, all of you will enjoy that, will enjoy the caliber and the content and the conversations that will happen, and all the people that are attending here. We have an electric lineup of speakers and subject matter experts across the board, and from different parts of the world coming together to talk to us about not just the subjects and the matter, but to interact, connect, find opportunities, think about issues, think about how we deal with them. Cybersecurity is getting weaponized. From a time when it was an offshoot, as Secretary Krishnan said, from a time when we didn't worry too much about cybersecurity, software, etc., it is now center stage. There is no board in this country or in the world that does not need to take this extremely seriously. And yet, I would say, and Vinayak and I have had this conversation from time to time, I would say that in a level of awareness on a scale of 1 to 10 across the country, we're at 2 or 3, not higher. And I think it now needs to take center stage. We all read about what's happening around the world. I don't think we begin to realize, and only perhaps Vinayak and some of his team members realize the level of attacks that are going on a daily basis, which are being prevented, which are being dealt with. The armed forces, of course, recognize that as well, extremely well, and they are ready for it. But the level to which our organizations are vulnerable in a weaponized world with many rogue elements, institutions, organizations, people who can build the cybersecurity warfare tools, we are at a very, very vulnerable stage. And I hope this collective audience will take that home and talk to people about it. It is a defense measure. It is not as important, of course, I wouldn't say that, it isn't as important as many things that the armed forces, etc. do, but it is a very, very important part of our overall defensive strategy. As Krishnan also said, sovereignty is critical. How do you maintain sovereignty in an area which knows no boundaries, where supply chains are vulnerable? How do you make sure that up and down the line you are living in a world which you can own and control? How do you do that in a truly globalized world? On one side, we are pushing the pressures of globalization. On the other side, we have to cope with the level of sovereignty that we need and the privacy and the controls that we need to protect ourselves from everything that is happening around the world. Everyone has to be a technologist. I'm an accountant, by the way. You'll be happy to hear. Vinayak is not happy to hear that generally, but I'm an accountant, and therefore I'm here. And yet, we all have to be technologists. The days when all of us can sit in our silos and sit around and say, I'm from this, I'm from that, are over. We have to learn, we have to understand how this technology works and where it goes. Awareness is low, as I said, and a level of paranoia is what we need. I don't have just warnings and bad news here, but I have a few other thoughts also. The rapid rise of AI, as we all know, you know it far better than I do, makes us even more vulnerable. Because now you don't even need human beings to actually produce the attacks or the weapons or the tools or the technologies that are required for cybersecurity, defense and attack. And therefore, how will that work out? How quickly will that develop? What will the next LLM or small language model do? What will the new company do that is using all of them? Anticipating that has become the key element that we have to worry about. The next wave of cyber threats is increasingly driven by generative AI and automation. Attackers are using AI to launch more sophisticated social engineering, deepfake-enabled fraud. I think we're all already at a point where anything we see, we all check first to see, is it AI-driven or not? We're already at that point. Just think about that as a habit. I was doing it this morning when people were sending news across. The first thing you start doing is checking for fake news. It is a level at which I could not have imagined we would be 5 years ago. I don't know where this is headed. We don't know nobody knows where this is headed. All we know is our defense and our expertise in this area of cybersecurity has to be amongst the best in the world. Weaponization by rogue states, by institutions, will continue because all of a sudden you don't need to cross a border to attack, and you can do this in many, many ways. The global cyber talent gap also runs into millions of people. One of the things that DSCI does so brilliantly and so well is it provides certification and training. But you know, the gap in talent in India is massive in cybersecurity. I think just that is an industry itself which is waiting to be born at this point in time. And for all of you budding entrepreneurs, I would suggest this is going to be one of the fastest growing industry over the next 10 years without fail. And it'll grow at a 15% plus CAGR, whereas the rest of the IT industry may be growing at a far lower amount. Having said that, it is also a different expertise. This is a different expertise from the usual IT work that we all do, and we need to recognize that it is a different level of science and a different level of engineering that is required here. So what should we do? How should we look at this? How should we respond? Every board needs to think about this carefully. Every CEO needs to think about it. It needs to be mainstream now. It needs to be mainstream in every company that we talk about. It needs to be discussed at every board meeting. It needs to be reviewed properly. And we need to create a demand for these products that all of you are out here building. Without being able to build that demand, we will not be able to build the research and development and the investments that are required to make this a very, very successful industry. There are many small MSMEs, SMEs, industries, which actually are lost at this point in time. I'm not sure they know what to do, where to go, how it could affect them, how it could affect their supply chain. Again, our ability to spread that news to them and to protect them would be very important. Our government has been extremely positive here with the DPDP Act, with many other things that they're doing, with many other things. Sometimes, of course, they've introduced a new app recently, which all of you are reading about. Sometimes that app they may be very differing views on it. I'm not going to get into that controversy right now here. But of course, there are many views on how well we need that app or if we don't need that app and what it should do. But the fact is, it's front of mind, center of mind for everybody to think about. I want to end on a very happy note, though. I believe India can lead the world in cybersecurity and entrepreneurship and companies. It's a huge opportunity for us. We have the talent pool, we have the demographics, we have the ability to experiment. Again, as something I was talking to our Chief of Naval Staff here about was, can the Defense Forces buy products from the small startups? Can we open the gates for government to do so? Can we open the gates for the public to do so, public sector to do so? It is a massive opportunity. The world is looking for this talent. And I think with the expertise that someone like DSCI has, we can build startups, we can build entrepreneurs, and we can exchange ideas in a way that we could never do before. We can go to other countries. We were talking a lot about Israel yesterday at the Indian diaspora meet that we had. The fact is, Israel commands, it's for a variety of reasons, a lot of it driven by its defensive posture, military posture. It commands an expertise in this which is enviable. But so does Scandinavia, so does Estonia, so do other parts of Eastern Europe. They all have their cybersecurity industries which are extremely efficient and extremely proficient. Many best practices are around us that we could build on globally. The markets are open, and this market will only continue to improve and expand as the years go by, as the threats of this increase all the time. So it is a massive risk and a massive opportunity at the same time. And I think within that is a possibility of building an industry through the combination of government, our defense forces, the public sector, and the private sector. 4 main areas I would suggest. 1, skilling. We need to expand the amount of skills that we are developing, the training that we are providing massively across the country in cybersecurity. 2, awareness. We have to find ways of making people far more aware of the dangers, how people get attacked, how cybersecurity can or cannot affect you, how it can affect your company, your business, your supply chain, up and down the line. 3, build entrepreneurs. Build entrepreneurs by allowing startups to sell to all kinds of markets, creating a demand which is fantastic. And 4, build the government, public, private partnerships in a way that has never been done before. We stand on the cusp of something very exciting here. This is a phenomenal event every year, and I'm proud to be a part of it. Most of all, I think the way DSCI pulls this off every year is absolutely phenomenal. Welcome to all of you. I hope you have a wonderful event, and I hope you have a wonderful 3 days. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bhasin, for that very insightful address. Thank you once again. It has really energized all of us here. Ladies and gentlemen, we've arrived to a very special moment as we would invite our very special guest of honor to share his thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning is very special as we are very privileged to have with us Vice Admiral Sanjay Vatsayan, AVSM, NM, Vice Chief of the Naval Staff, a serving flag officer of the Indian Navy, and he currently serves as the 47th Vice Chief of the Naval Staff. He has previously served as the Deputy Chief of the Integrated Defense Staff Operations, as Chief of Staff, and Eastern Naval Command as Deputy Commandant of the National Defense Academy, and as the Flag Officer commanding Eastern Fleet. With those words, may I request you to kindly put your hands together as I request Vice Admiral Sanjay Vatsayan to kindly share his thoughts.
Distinguished leaders from the tech industry, eminent speakers, cybersecurity professionals, researchers, innovators, participants, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed an honor for me today, I think, to talk to all of you. But as I got up from my seat, I realized that there's a big clock in front of me that was showing 5 minutes. So I don't know whether it was for me or for the session. I presume it was for the session. So while I have prepared a talk for 12 minutes, but that showed 5 minutes. Now I'm in a dilemma as to whether should I speak for 5 minutes or should I speak what I've spoken, or when I was hearing my predecessors, I realized that most of what I wanted to speak has already been covered by them. अब मैं क्या बोलूं? But I will speak nevertheless because it's so fascinating to be amongst all of you, and one of my jobs currently and in my previous assignment in Headquarters Integrated Defense Staff was to meet the industry, reach out to the MSMEs, reach out to the startups, and I will cover it lately. But before that, thank you so much for wishing your Navy Day. It is Indian Navy, it is your Navy. आपका नौसेना दिवस है ये. So greetings to all of you from all of us in uniform. And does anybody know why Navy Day is celebrated today, 4th of December? Good. One. Any veteran here? Navy, Army, Air Force, anybody? One. So I'll just share with you before I come to the text that why we are celebrating 4th of December as the Navy Day. It's on 4th of December 1971 that the Indian Navy carried out a very audacious and innovative attack on Karachi Harbour, and Karachi was set aflame during the Indo-Pak War of 1971 when Bangladesh was liberated. Nobody had imagined, not even the Russians whose weapon systems that we used had in their SOPs or in their technical documentation to how to exploit those missiles that indicated that we could do that. But the Indian Navy did that, and the attack was so ferocious that it did change the course of war. And of course, that's now celebrated as the Navy Day, 4th of December. That was kinetic action. Now, this is not the script I'm reading actually because I realized, as I told you, जो मैं सोच के आया था वो सब आप इन लोगों ने बोल दिया है. So that was kinetic action. Today, as per doctrine, warfare is a multi-domain operation. And for the Navy, for example, multi-domain means below water, on the surface, air, space, and cyber. We have recognized this as a domain, as a war-fighting medium. And therefore, we've got cyber experts today in uniform who do this for us. And we've gone to cognitive and information warfare. You can say cyber, cognitive, information could be within a set or a subset of each other, or whichever way you look at it. But we have taken it up to cognitive warfare also, because you saw what happened in Sindoor, that there was a cognitive element also which had come into place. But the cyber domain also was being utilized, and I cannot share with you, but I will share with you the kind of attacks that we had, phenomenal attacks, number of attacks that were there, not only from the adversary, but from various other supporters of adversary all over the world. And I can assure you, and I can say today, that not one of them were able to affect the armed forces. The reason is because we have a team over here with us. We have built up our cybersecurity professionals. They are all mostly uniformed people. Some we take, non-uniformed, but they have made our system so resilient, and they were working 35 into 24/7 or 24/7, 35 into 7. And that's how we could, thwart all those attacks. And we got a very a defensive system that we have put into place, and some of them are sitting over here, of course not in uniform with you. It's unfortunate that probably there was a gap in communication wherein they could not participate in yesterday's hackathon, but as we are speaking today, there are 12 specialists who come all over India, from all over India in Delhi, sitting in the DCYA, which is a cyber agency, the Defense Cyber Agency, which is a separate nodal agency manned by officers from Army, Navy, and Air Force, and they're having a hackathon over there amongst themselves. So unfortunately, there's been a clash, but that's the level of cyber domain participation that is there from the Indian Armed Forces. I just thought I'll share with you. Any of you have heard IDEX? 1, 2. Swavalamban? Same. What are we doing therefore? The armed forces, as I said in my previous job, and even now, we are reaching out to all of you. We are reaching out to startups. We are reaching out to MSMEs. We are reaching out to the industry because we want the civil-military fusion, as we call it, to actually be taken up to the next level, because we realize that the technology and the solution to all our problems of managing modern technology as well as sustaining older technology. Anything that is getting obsolete, and I need to get equivalents of that, because A, the foreign supplier is not giving it to me. If they are giving it, they're giving it at a very expensive cost, or their industries have shut down. Therefore, he says that form and fit of that item is not available. So I'm getting to innovate. So IDEX is Innovation for Defense Excellence. It's a project that has been running for 7-8 years, and it's got various schemes in which the government of India pays 1.5 crores, 10 crores, and 25 crores, depending on the complexity of the problem that I give to you. We will put in that money, you are required to put in the same amount of money and give me a solution. The winner, there's a challenge, it's a challenge, the winners are there, they make the products, and the product that wins is given a contract for a minimum order of quantity. Swavlamban is an Indian naval initiative wherein it's running for the 4th year, and we had our 4th edition. And here again, across the table, across all technologies, we encourage participation for giving solutions to our problem statements. How the digital platform, how the digital ecosystem in India is going to grow has already been covered with the number of jobs, etc. You guys know better than me. Therefore, I will not take that, and I'm cutting it out from my script. And how the semiconductor industry is going to grow is also, I'm sure you are more aware than me. But that is where lies the opportunity. That is where we want to tap all of you, because I personally believe, it's my personal view, that the intellectual property is here. It's only the rights that those guys are buying and taking it outside. We are sweating, we are producing the solutions for the big ticket guys from abroad. You are developing it for them, but they're taking it away, and I have to buy them at 5 to 10x the cost. So why don't we do it ourselves in-house and generate innovative solutions, indigenized solutions, so that we have our own systems in place? And that is what we are looking at. My speakers who spoke before me, both the Secretary as well as Mr. Bhasin, alluded to the same. But I think we need to harness our intellectual property, our intellectual capacity and capability that is there with all of us. And as far as the armed forces are concerned, while I'm speaking in a naval uniform, but I can assure you it's for all the 3 services, we are looking at everything that we want to be made in India. Hardware, software, manpower, women power, whatever you want, everything we want Indian. So that we will fight our future wars in India, in Indian conditions, with systems and equipment designed in India, designed for Indian conditions to fight our wars, but made for the world. Because once the Indian Armed Forces buy a product from you, there is no way that anybody will say that, no, it's not good enough for me. It can operate in any environment that you can look at. Cyber is, of course, omnipresent. It does not change. But if I take you for a geography class and take you from Gujarat coast, the riverines of Gujarat, to the plains of Gujarat, deserts of Rajasthan, cultivated fields of Punjab, jungles of and high altitude of J&K, extreme high altitude, come down to the jungles of Northeast, and of course Sundarbans. Is there any terrain in the world that is not there on this earth, that is not there in India? Every terrain today that is there in the world is available in India. Therefore, any system that is designed for Indian Armed Forces will work anywhere in the world. So that's the premise that we begin with, and we start. There has been a weaponization of AI, cyber, and biotechnology, and this is no more a fictional movie script. It is a reality. The rapid advancements of emerging technologies of AI risk a new frontier of warfare, and we are already in it, where innovation outgrows regulations. These emerging technologies are becoming a dual-edged sword, amplifying power, but at the same time escalating the risk of international conflicts and destabilization. So cyber attacks have evolved, and we have zero-day exploits which can be purchased like commodities, you are all aware. Ransomware as a e-service can be hired as you can look at a Netflix movie perhaps, or a subscription in critical digital ecosystems. are weaponized today without even crossing borders, and we've seen that. So the integration of this AI-driven and data-centric architecture has multiplied both with scale as far as the armed forces are concerned, because we know now that the threat actually is multiplying. And these threats also include potential challenges or loss of cyber sovereignty, which has already been spoken, which has the ability to impose catastrophic consequences on national security. We have to have our sovereign cyber outputs available to us across all domains, hardware and software, and so on and so forth. So we talk of multi-domain operations, as I told you, and today it's a hybrid threat landscape from hacktivists of nation states. So I'm just going into the details a little bit over here, because we confront a full spectrum of threat actors with diverse motivations and capabilities. The nation state adversaries are executing highly sophisticated, persistent campaigns. Criminal syndicates have industrialized ransomware through as a e-service ecosystem, and they are state-backed grey actors who are increasingly leveraging deniable and covert tactics. That's the challenge that we face in the armed forces. And my biggest worry is all of you also will face the same as you develop your own systems, because I'll give you an example. 2.5 years ago, we told a very big industry who was into the defense ecosystem that please be careful. We went for a visit and we said, please be careful, whatever you are developing, just keep a track of it. I'm sure you will be attacked and something will happen. So just be careful. They said, no, don't worry, we are good. I'm the best. I've got a halo around me. Okay. Last year, massive cyber attack. Everything that was not supposed to go has gone out to the places where they're not supposed to be. Overconfidence, I will call it incompetence. I tell each and every startup who's working for us, please be extremely careful about your cyber security. You may be doing an outstanding job, but that job will stand outside the moment it is compromised. It is of no use to me. And the biggest problem is if I have taken it on board and I'm using it and it gets compromised, the consequences are far too much. So it's actually warning to all of you that whatever you're doing within your ecosystems, your startups and all that, please make your black room, dark room, or whatever you want to call it, but please protect your own IP. That should not go away. And it is getting attacked day in and day out. We are aware of it. Believe you me, we are aware of it. I have already told you what happened in Operation Sindoor, but finally I'll close over here. I think I have basically said whatever I wanted to say in a general way. But we are very sure that the digital future of India is secure only if we work together. I use the word civil-military fusion. Today, you guys are driving the technology, which most of us will also be using. Earlier, it used to be the other way around. The defense forces were driving, if you see 50s, 60s, and 70s. Everything that you see today, radars and so on and so forth, came from the defense requirements. Today is the other way around. And in the emerging world order, a nation's strength is not measured solely by the might of its forces, but by the resilience of the networks, the integrity of data and utility of its and unity of its response to threats. Today, all of us are network. Army, Navy, and Air Force are riding on a network, because data exchange and information is the most important aspect in today's warfare. It has to be immediate and huge amount of data available. Information is available. To convert it into executable knowledge is my challenge. But the overriding factor is we need to have data security on my communication networks. The moment that is hacked, it's gone. I need to have switches, I need to have our own servers, I need to have everything available to be made in India so that nobody can intervene. And that's a given. My foundation today of any war fighting tomorrow is only communication, communication, and communication. You can extrapolate that to your individual fields, but that's what it is, because everything is riding on that. So that's the most important aspect. And I'm particularly pleased to note that the presence of an eclectic group, all of you over here, speakers, subject matter experts, representing the government sector and private sector alike, that embodies the reality that cybersecurity is not the responsibility of any single stakeholder, but everyone has a role, a responsibility, and a stake in shaping trust, safeguarding digital sovereignty, and ensuring a secure cyberspace for our country. I'm sure the technical discussions will not only enable knowledge diffusion, but will also promote real-world problem solving through use case-driven engagements, where we have deliverables in defined timelines. That's most important. Sir, kar denge, ho jayega, just give me some more time. No, please define timelines. As far as I'm concerned, let's start by defining what we want to do in the next 2 years. 24 months, not 2 years. 2 years, again, Indian shiftable time, 2 years will become more. 24 months, when you say, let's define by that. And as we continue our journey towards a digital future, let us also remember that cybersecurity is a public good. It is not merely a technical investment, but an economic imperative, a developmental necessity, and a national priority. I urge all the participants to use this summit to help strengthen the national cyber posture, debate, discuss, disagree, but then collaborate to build networks, seek partnerships, and explore new possibilities. Let this platform be a catalyst for actionable outcomes, not merely conversations. We are behind the curve already, and time is running out for us. I wish the organization great success and the participants an enriching, meaningful, and productive engagement. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir, for those immensely encouraging, and those words are full of energy, pride, and coming right from your heart. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. As mentioned by our honorable guest of honor, Vice Admiral Sanjay Vatsayan, that we stand on the 4th of December as a Navy Day, indeed a day of celebration for each one of us. Can we put our hands together and recognize this moment of great pride, a momentous day? And thank you so much, sir, for sharing such valuable thoughts with us. Thank you once again. August Assembly, now we move towards yet another but a very special report launch on the state of AI adoption for cybersecurity in India, a DSCI report supported by Palo Alto Networks. Before we request our honorable dignitaries on the dais to kindly unveil the report, may I request the Vice President and Managing Director, India and SAARC Palo Alto Networks, Ms. Swapna Bapat, to kindly join us onto the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, can we put our hands together as you request Ms. Swapna Bapat to kindly join us onto the stage. Now may I request all our dignitaries on the stage to kindly launch the report. We are launching the state of AI adoption for cybersecurity in India. This is a DSCI report, which, like I mentioned, is supported by Palo Alto Networks. The report provides us an understanding of India's changing AI cybersecurity landscape based on insights gathered from over 160 plus organizations and cyber leaders across industries. Ladies and gentlemen, just to mention that this report is available for your download on the DSCI website. Thank you so much, honorable dignitaries. We captured this moment in our lenses, and it shall stay in our memories. Thank you once again. May I now request Ms. Swapna Bapat to kindly share her insightful keynote address with us, which would be on the prediction for the AI economy 2026, new rules of cyber security. Requesting Ms. Swapna Bapat, who's from Palo Alto Networks, for special keynote address. Over to you, ma'am.
Going after Vice Admiral Sanjay is a tough spot, but then I also take that opportunity to thank him and all our armed forces. Thanks to all of you, we sleep very well at night. Thank you very much, sir, for your service. Thank you. So this report comes at a very timely, I would say, point, and at the perfect stage. So I thank Mr. Pramod Bhasin, Vinayak ji, for the collaboration, because this actually gives us a view of how AI adoption in cybersecurity is happening in India enterprise. We've taken a few key, okay, let me do this properly. We've taken a few key highlights that really should resonate with all of you, and many of you might have been part of this report, 160 plus organizations. See, the desire to adopt AI for cybersecurity is high. And I don't think it should come as a surprise, because security has always been a data problem, a very large data problem. And having AI to actually solve security, make security easier, comes as no surprise. However, what is concerning is two things. The first point, the preparedness for AI threat, only 20% plus organizations think they're ready. It's not surprising, but it's definitely concerning. What is also concerning is budget approvals for AI-based cybersecurity tools is not easy to get. And I face this every day as part of my job when I work with a lot of CISOs. The fact that the understanding of what AI-based threats can actually perpetrate is lacking, even at the board level. What is also lacking is justifying the buy. According to CISOs, 10% of their usual cybersecurity budget should be allocated for AI-based cybersecurity tools. What is also interesting is the prime need for these tools is reducing the time to detect that something has gone wrong in the entire enterprise. When something goes wrong, you have to know it immediately. When something goes wrong, you have to be able to fix it immediately. That's the primary reason. There is also an issue with skills. AI-based skills, managing AI-based tools, how do you justify that? So what we are seeing CISOs do is create a multi-year strategy to define that budget and bring in those tools. We help them do that. Second, threats based on AI are real. It's so easy to do reconnaissance now across a massive set of endpoints, thousands and thousands of endpoints. It's so easy to create polymorphic malware now, thanks to training a model. Our own blue team does it, so as to ensure our products are continuously kept up to date. We have historical 21 years of data on how threat agencies are evolving their malware. What do they do? How does their malware change? Using that, training our models, generating malware, ensuring that continuous CI/CD pipeline for malware generation is hitting our products and making those products stronger and stronger every day, staying ahead of the threat actors. What is interesting is also that 38% of the enterprises that were questioned claim they have an AI framework, which is good. So there is an AI framework, there is a policy for AI, who can use AI applications, what can they do with it. There is a framework. But 39% of the people who are interviewed say there is no way to enforce that policy. So policy is as good as you can enforce it. How can you use these AI tools to help you enforce the policy? How can you use AI tools in cybersecurity to help you generate audit and compliance reports? Something which hits your business directly, making security an advantage. But what is obvious across this report is we are in the AI economy. We have moved from being AI assisted to AI native. Human in the loop, absolutely. But AI now has to be native to every tool, every process. How do we be prepared for this? Along with the 70,000 plus customers that we have and this report, and a lot of research that our teams continue to do over the last 21 years that Palo Alto Networks has been in cybersecurity, only doing cybersecurity, here are the predictions for 2026. Threat of AI identity. I will give you a story here. Those of you who know me know that I like to make it real. There is a hospital in Canada who used a transcription tool for meetings. A lot of us do that. There was a recurring invite on this hospital generic calendar with 50 plus nurses, doctors being invited to review critical patients, exchange ideas. Pretty common in a hospital. A few of the hospital doctors and nurses had left the organization, had left the hospital. But you know how these emails are. It's been on the calendar invite for 2 years, people left. The identity management system removed, those emails were removed, but the calendar still had those invites. Now, the transcription tool's job was to ensure that the entire meeting transcript was packaged and sent as an email to everyone attending the meeting. Great, that's a good job. Now, what happened is one of the doctors who exited the hospital downloaded the same transcript tool on his laptop for private use. Nothing prevented that. Now, this transcript tool within the enterprise, the agent, spoke to the agent of the transcript tool outside the enterprise and started sharing information. So patients' data left that hospital premise and went outside to a doctor who did not work there. The patients were informed, those of them who actually survived their critical illness. These things happen. Identity is going to move. Identity is going to be fluid and dynamic. You have to be able to protect identity. Second, securing an AI agent. The agent itself is going to be tampered with. There was a time where we said humans are the most vulnerable link in a security kill chain. There's a new member added to that kill chain, the agent, and it will be attacked. Data. How do I make this model malfunction? That's what cyber criminals are thinking now. I can make this model malfunction through prompt engineering. I can also make it malfunction by poisoning the data that is making this model stronger. That is going to be a very obvious point of attack. Risk and accountability. In the example that I gave you, whose accountability is it? Was the transcript application with those agents talking to each other across enterprise boundaries liable? Was it the hospital liable? Was it the IT team and security team of the hospital liable for not putting in the guardrails? Liability is going to be dynamic. It's going to be indecisive until frameworks, regulations are going to be evolved, and they are going to be coming. How do you be ready for all this? And then Mr. Bhasin spoke about this. This often gets sort of hidden under the whole dialogue of AI, but it's a very real threat. Post-quantum cryptography is real. Identifying PQCs, your ability to identify PQCs, stop them, your ability to change, make your keys, which help you encrypt data, communication, as Vice Admiral Sanjay was saying, communication, that has to be safe. You have to be inventorying right now, understanding how vulnerable you are. You have to be prepared for the post-quantum era. That will come sooner thanks to AI. Of course, anybody's guess when it will come. And finally, the browser. Our first line of defense used to be the endpoint. That's where you have your endpoint detection remediation, make it smartest, make it strongest. But now it's even earlier, it's the browser. The browser is going to be enabled with agents. These agents are going to be part of integral workforce. Account payable. How does my agent help me process account payables quickly? How does my agent help me book my ticket, my hotel, do it based looking at my calendar? No human involvement. These things are real. So browsers are seeing maximum amount of AI-based traffic. You have to protect your browser. But AI is a defender's advantage. Today, you can measure outcomes. You can measure the extent of your security. You can measure that with every iteration, my model is getting smarter. My model is able to help me detect something bad is happening in my enterprise faster. It is allowing me to remediate faster. It is continuously telling me the threats that it's seeing. It's giving me warnings. These are outcomes. It's not a fancy tool, it is an outcome-driven tool, and it's measurable. That's the defender's advantage. Make security a competitive advantage. I have customers telling me, Swapna, can Palo Alto Networks help us make our service or our product secure? And you write powered, secured by Palo Alto Networks. Security is an advantage today. It's a competitive advantage. The more secure you are, your buyer feels more secure to buy from you. So that's the defender's advantage that AI will provide. Finally, the path forward, embrace AI. Embrace AI, but secure AI by design. How? There is a path from how you use to how you build to continuously red teaming. See, unlike traditional applications, the AI world is dynamic. The data powering the model is changing, the model version is changing, the model build deriving from various sources to build the model, that is changing, and this is continuous because AI's job is to get more and more precise. So in this case, you have to ensure that you are continuously red teaming the AI, challenging it throughout its life cycle. And finally, securing your agent in runtime. You want to learn more about Palo Alto Networks and what it does? Please join us at lunch this afternoon. Please join us at Hong's, I believe. That's where we have a CXO lunch to learn more in depth. We have workshops continuously running. We had some yesterday, we have some today, and we also have a roundtable throughout the day. So with that, I want to thank all of you. Thank Vinayak ji, Pramod ji, wonderful session where all these minds come together and share information and secure India enterprise. Hope you have a very secure AI journey. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, ma'am, for that very valuable and significant pointers from your end. Thank you once again. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we conclude our inaugural session. It has been a wonderful inaugural session, and we extend our heartfelt gratitude to all our dignitaries who have shared their thoughts and, most importantly, their valuable time with us.